Right.
So nice to hear from Eldon Kelly. We love his music, and that beautiful instrumental to start us out was just perfect. Thank you, Eldon, for sharing that with us. I want to welcome everyone who is with us on this virtual live stream today. And like I said, we know that you can watch it another time, but it's so nice to come together, like just keep our habit of coming together as a spiritual community and interacting with each other. That's the best. So if you can be with us on Sunday at 4 o'clock, we appreciate that so much, and I think everyone who's watching also does. So let's begin our service today with our meditation. I invite you to close your eyes and just begin to relax. Let's take 2 deep breaths together. Let's breathe in and out. And in and out. And as we relax our bodies, let your shoulders drop. Just lay the day aside, just lay it down and come into this space together fully, body, mind, and spirit. I invite you to place your hands on your heart and bring your focus to this sacred heart space. And as we breathe and follow our breath a few more times here, breathe in and out from this heart space. I'm going to use the word I during this meditation, and I invite you to take on these words if they resonate with you. There is only one divine loving presence, and this presence surrounds me and moves through me as me into this world. I am one with divine love, inseparable from it. And divine love sees through my human eyes. I am blessed with divine vision. And with this vision of love, I behold the perfection of all creation. There is nothing else to see. I see no separation or otherness. And in this moment, the circle of love is complete. Perfection is already accomplished. I am perfect life, right here and right now. One with the perfect whole in this vast spaciousness of love, in the field of one mind. My mind is still, and I am filled with peace. And I know that all is well. And together we say, and so it is, and so it is. Thank you. And while we're in this meditative place, let us pause and be grateful and appreciative for all of the abundance in our lives. And as well as our own abundance and the collective abundance, let's be grateful for all of the donations and generosity that our fellowship family contributes to our spiritual community. And I invite you to join me as we read the blessing of our tithes and offerings, and you'll see that on the screen here. The light of divine love shines eternally, blessing and multiplying our tithes and offerings. I joyously give, knowing I always have enough to share and to spare. So our topic this afternoon is prayer, and we're doing things a little bit differently because we have the Reverends Julie Dillon and Sue Quinn joining me this afternoon to share messages around prayer. And so we'll have some different aspects of prayer and things that are really meaningful to all three of us. So to start out, I'd just like to ask you to close your eyes again, and let's just take a deep breath together and out. And I want to ask you this question. When I say the word prayer, what do you see and hear and feel? We probably all have differing ideas of what that looks like and sounds like and feels like. To me, prayer is very personal, and we find our way to what resonates in our hearts. And this can change over time with our spiritual growth and as our consciousness expands. When you think about it, our first prayers were likely taught to us as little children, as we said prayers before meals and before bedtime. And as a small child, God, this person that we were speaking to, was very mysterious and powerful and out there somewhere, not sure where. But he was definitely listening to us and watching us and judging us. And he had the power to answer our prayers or not answer our prayers. And this likely evolved into conversations with God, still out there somewhere. But even this, although we might look at this as faulty or immature, it nurtured a really deep reverence, but also possibly fear. And that fear is exactly why many of us found our way to the fellowship. Our wonderful Beth Monteith has reminded us many times over the years that God is not an old man with a long white beard sitting on a cloud in the sky somewhere. And probably a white man with a long white beard. So what do we know at this point in our lives after attending fellowship services and studying and engaging in workshops and reading and all of our ways of expanding our consciousness? We know that our first two guiding principles of the fellowship express it so beautifully. We know that there is one supreme presence, a divine oneness called by many names. And we also know that the essence of our being is spirit. And why do we pray? Well, we have a desire to sustain a deeper awareness of God, our source, creative intelligence, to nurture and strengthen this relationship. And to me, it is ultimate intimacy. A Course of Love tells us that we must redefine prayer as an act of consciously choosing union. Union with the one, the all that is, the all good. And warns us not to stray back to old concepts of separation. And we're aware of and using the laws of the universe to gain our desires, to manifest our desires, to change conditions in our lives. We are joining with this powerful life force as a co-creator in this creative process. Both of these aspects of knowing and communing and union with this loving divine presence require conscious awareness, intention, and focused attention and intention. And this is really our superpower as spiritual beings in our human bodies and our human experience. We have the ability to focus our attention and make choices. And Reverend Lucille Olson's song, Our Thoughts Are Prayers, so beautifully reminds us that with every thought, we are telling the universe, I want more of this, whether we realize it or not. So take charge of what you're thinking and make sure that you're working with the laws of the universe to create rather than just creating by default. All of the New Thought teachers tell us to shift from any problem that we might be experiencing or consumed with, shift to God, to thinking about all we know about God, divine love, and everything else will fall into place. I just spoke a couple weeks ago about the wisdom of Emmett Fox, and Emmett Fox tells us about the golden key and how it's our responsibility to turn that key. And turning that key means making that shift away from our problematic thinking to this beautiful relationship with God. The Sufis also have such a beautiful way of expressing it, and they really talk about this dance with our beloved when we are just in stillness and quiet and in that vast, spacious space of union with all that is. We have our New Thought teachers and so many to thank for guiding us back to these teachings. And Ernest Holmes blessed us with affirmative prayer. which is the type of prayer that we use at the fellowship most frequently. Usually my opening meditations are fashioned around these 5 steps. And he reminds us that we are not changing God's perception of us. We're not asking God for anything. We are totally and completely working on our consciousness, building a higher consciousness, and creating a way of perceiving that is grounded in those first 2 fellowship guiding principles. And I'll go through each of these steps. It's really wonderful to know these steps and be able to fashion a prayer using them. Ernest Holm tells us we don't have to use them in any particular order necessarily, and I've gotten to the point sometimes where I will leave one out here or there, but there are really nice guides for us. So the first one is recognition. There is only one power and presence, the all that is, the all good. The second one is unification. The essence of our being is spirit. We are one with and inseparable from this loving presence, this energy of, this energetic life force that permeates everything in our world. And the third is declaration. And at this point, we are declaring our truth. We are making affirmative statements about what we know to be true, despite the fact that appearances might say otherwise. So we might feel ill, but we declare, I am whole and healthy and vibrant. And we do our best to feel that feeling of health and vibrance as we make those statements. And number 4 is thanksgiving. Of course, we are thankful and appreciative for knowing these truths and being able to work with them and know that these laws are working impartially always. And so our result will be replicable, and the collective conscious can have that same result, and each individual on this planet can have a similar result. And number 5 is the release. I release my prayer into the creative consciousness. And most importantly, I know that it is done. It's done. We know that Spirit knows our desire before we even speak it. So we are working our way through these steps to get our consciousness in a space of accepting it and knowing it to be true. So I also wanted to talk a little bit about these 2 aspects of prayer. Of course, being alone and still and quiet, being able to hear the voice of the divine speak to us is a good experience always, and we always have that available to us. But another really wonderful experience to explore is having a spiritual companion and a prayer partner, for example. So we can use all of these tools that we've been learning here at the fellowship, remembering our guiding principles, remembering the teachings of the New Thought teachers of A Course in Miracles, of A Course of Love, and experiment, find what resonates in our hearts, and most importantly, practice. Create a prayer practice. And now we're going to listen to our wonderful Lucille Olson sing our thoughts and our prayers. Listen carefully to those words and know that there are very important messages in this song for us. And then, as I said, Reverend Julie Dillon and Reverend Sue Quinn will be joining in with very special messages around prayer from each of them. Thank you so much.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Take charge of what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
Hello, and welcome to our service about prayer today. I have the opportunity to speak with you and lead you into prayers in nature. Outside, whether you're in the woods, in the water, in the mountains, in a backyard, through a window, through a skylight, you can connect with the natural wonders that await in an ever unfolding and such an inspiring way. Think about the tides, the sky, the horizon, the earth, always changing gracefully and moving to come back together as one, just as we are ever evolving and also one. Connecting with the natural world enlivens all your senses. It clears your mind and, wait for it, opens your heart. Childlike wonder is born again with each cloud formation, with each star that comes, with each firefly, with the rustling of the leaves, blooming of the plants, the trees, and the flowers. A caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. You've walked, you've sat in and looked at and seen a view perhaps 1,000 times or more. It's the same view, yet you're seeing it in this present moment, yet at the same time, there is no time and space. It disappears as you move through and within the natural world. I want to guide you into this prayer meditation with nature by setting the mind for quiet. At this time, I ask you to try to still your thoughts and mind. As your thoughts come and go, as they do, accept and acknowledge these thoughts. Then you can say to yourself or say aloud, "Thank you for sharing," or "I'll deal with this later." Now I invite you to either walk slowly, pacing yourself, or sit in a comfortable and upright position. As you move into this place of quieting, find a clearing, a space to take in what is given to you at this time. If we want to be held, we have to behold. Thank you, Mark Nepo. While you are either walking or sitting, together we will take in peace as we inhale, and we will exhale love. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Resume your regular breathing, and if you need to, come back to your breath. Take in the quiet, the beauty of being, and stay a while. When you feel ready, come back to the service. As many of you probably within the Northern Hemisphere know, we've just passed the summer solstice, when day is longer, night is shorter. And based on this, based on all the lushness that's going on here in Michigan, I wanted to read to you this poem called The Summer Day by Mary Oliver. Take this in and do with it what you will. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? I wonder how we, as a fellowship community, like-minded beings on a path through this human life, can become one together in the natural world. Think about that. Contemplate that. Or as our lovely Reverend Mary says, noodle on it, which I love that one. Each and every one of us is given a unique gift. Please allow this gift to come into the light by slowing your mind and thoughts, by opening your heart, connecting with what our natural world offers, and moving through and with you into your own light with the One. I offer you this from Mark Nepo. Trees in the forest start out reaching for the light and end up standing in the light. Once standing in the light, there is less need to reach. I'm going to read that one more time. Trees in the forest start out reaching for the light and end up standing in the light. Once standing in the light, there is less need to reach.
This song is called My Prayer for You. My prayer for you is that you would know peace. My prayer for you is that you would know peace. May beauty and serenity within your soul increase. My prayer for you is that you would know peace.
Hello. Today I'm going to be sharing about movement as prayer, prayerful movement. And any movement can be a prayer when you are intentionally aware of your body's expression. When it comes to prayer, we often forget about our bodies, and we have been divinely gifted with our bodies. And I invite you to expand what you have already been doing your entire life and to experience it as an embodied prayer. And that means just looking at our everyday gestures. It could be washing the dishes, walking. It could be going to the store, encountering the person behind the counter, smiling at someone. And look at all of these experiences as opportunities to honor the divine that is within each and every one of us and all around us. So movement as prayer, or prayerful movement, dates back so far. It's in various creation stories, in the Bible, in our sacred texts, so many sacred writings. And the first time that I became aware that I was breathing with my entire body was in a breathwork class, and it was several years ago. There was probably 20 of us in a room, and I'll be honest, totally out of my comfort zone. There was really loud music. It was more of a drumming, a real primal type of sound that was going on, and I was really resistant at first, and then I just settled in, and I think with the intensity and the breathing of people around, it was this beautiful spiritual experience. It was just one of those moments when I could feel everybody in that room breathing together. We were truly one, and I could feel that deep, deep connection with God, with our source, divine love, and just a beautiful experience for sure. And it was there that I truly knew that God is within each and every one of us, and that movement and prayer are not separate. They cannot be separated. And I've heard from many people that they have had similar spiritual type of experiences. Maybe it's oftentimes they have shared about their running, experiences. If they're a runner, I've heard people talk about it in their, sitting under a tree or in nature. It could be dancing. I know also musicians and people expressing themselves musically. So it can be any movement. Any movement can bring us closer to the divine and remembering this oneness. So whatever it is, know your movement. Prayer is dynamic, and it'll change throughout our life. And just to really honor where you're at, and to be open to the next right teacher or the next right modality of movement to come into our lives. And I know from myself and also others, if it's, for instance, if you did tennis and you can no longer do that because maybe it's an injury, maybe it's you've moved, you're not near a court, or any reason, maybe your time constraints. But know that next right expression of movement, of prayer, just be open to receive it, because it will be there. And each of our movement prayers, and even if their patterns come from a particular tradition, know that they are uniquely yours. They're just wholly yours. Make it your practice. and truly honor that. The invitation is to experiment and find what gestures, what postures or steps nourish you and bring you closer to the divine. And now I would like to invite you to do a body prayer with me. And this was developed by the Contemplative Order of Julian of Norwich, a 14th century Christian mystic. And I'm just going to add, she was an English anchorite. And that's someone who withdraws from society to devote themselves to prayer and to giving spiritual counsel to others. And if you get the opportunity, just a truly remarkable woman. And this body prayer, which has 4 simple gestures, and they're just four words along with an intention. So I'll go through each of them, and then I would like us to do it together, and then we'll do it one time without words. And actually, Samantha will have the words right up on the screen too, so we could follow along. So do what you can. If you feel more comfortable seated, that's fine. Maybe it's not bringing your arms up so high. Just honor where you're at today. But it's a beautiful prayer. So the first movement is called await. And your hands will be at your side with the palms up at your waist, at waist level. And you await God's presence in whichever or whatever way it comes to you. The second is allow. Your hands will be lifted upright in an open position. And this signifies allowing God's presence to be revealed to you or not. And then the third is hands will be cupped towards your body, towards your heart, and that word is accept. And accept as a gift whatever comes to you or does not come to you. And it's accepting that we do not know everything and accepting that we are not in charge. And the final gesture and the word is attend. And in that position, our arms will be outstretched just in front of us. And this means this is in a ready to be responsive. So attending to what you're called to do, what you're guided to be the presence and also to be the loving presence of love in the world. And however the divine, however love calls you to. So those are the four words and the gestures. So I'd like you to do that with me. So I'm going to move our podium so it might be easier to see. And again, remember you can sit too. That's also perfectly fine. Okay, and now are you ready? I'd love to have you join me. And I forgot to mention, let's have a pause in between each movement that we do with the words, like 2 breath cycles, and inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So we just slow it down a little bit, or feel free to do it in a way that works for you. And let's start with await. Palms up at our waist. Inhaling and exhaling. Then arms outstretched, looking up if it feels okay. Allow. Hands to heart, cupped near body. Accept. attend. Arms forward, palms up, ready to be responsive. And we'll just do that one more time, and without our words. We're just with our movement. And let's just pause and just receive. And just be with that prayer. And I'm going to end with a quote from Julian of Norwich. And she states, "The fruit and the purpose of prayer is to be one with and like God in all things." And this body prayer, as well as your own prayer movement, is a lovely way to bring all of ourselves into the act of prayer, body, mind, and spirit. And in the next song that was composed by Corey Williams, called Dancing in the Mystery, that is just so inspiring. We will see a beautiful demonstration of prayerful movement by Winnelee Zeeb. And just so grateful for both Winnelee and Corey. Thank you so much for sharing your prayerful movements.
Right, this is a song about letting go and taking chances, about leaving ego at the door and trusting in Spirit's guidance, about finding freedom in the unknown, about dancing in the mystery.
There's something in the air tonight. There's something playing in the silver moonlight. There's something just beyond the door. A thrilling call I think I've heard before. And so I take a step outside into the arms of darkness open wide. A song swirls in the living breeze and brings a dancing to the midnight trees. And so I join in with the dance. I may never have this chance again. I don't know what will happen or what the world will bring. I don't know just where I'm going. I don't know much of anything, but I do know that what happens is what is meant to be. And I know that I'm just dancing, dancing in the mystery. There's a time for letting go, forgetting everything you think you know. There's a time for giving in to the great mystery, or let the dance begin. There's a light within that mystic dark, spirit gleaming, an eternal spark. I don't know what will happen, or what the world will bring. I don't know just where I'm going. I don't know much of anything, but I do know that what happens is what is meant to be. And I know that I'm just dancing. No, we don't know what will happen. It's so hard to foresee, but we know that where we're going is a world of possibility, and we know that all that happens is what is meant to be. 'Cause we know that we're just dancing. Yes, we know that we're just dancing. Oh, we know that we're just dancing, dancing in the mystery. Just dancing in the mystery. Thank you.
What a wonderful and diverse service with music and messages from so many. Many thanks to Eldon Kelly, to our lovely Reverend Lucille Olson, and to Corey Williams and Winnie Zeeb for that beautiful combination of music and prayerful movement. Really, really beautiful. And thank you to our Reverend Julie Dillon for her prayerful movement, way of looking at prayer and feeling prayer in our human bodies. So important. And thank you to Reverend Sue Quinn for reminding us that divine love, divine presence is all around us in nature. Whenever I think of Reverend Sue Quinn, I think of beautiful nature and trees, and she just exudes and emanates that from her very being. She loves it so much. And speaking of nature, I have one announcement to make today, and that is Reverend Sue Quinn's Nature Walk at Waldemar Nature Center will not be held on the 4th of July. She's not going to be available, but we will have it scheduled for July 11th, which is the following Sunday at 12:30 in the afternoon. And if you need more details about that, you can see that on our fellowship Facebook page, as well as the e-announcements that will be coming out on Tuesday. Our affirmation for today and for this coming week comes directly from Reverend Julie Dillon's message and a quote from Julian of Norwich, and it brings us back fully to this place of oneness with divine love. And the affirmation is, I am one with and like God in all things. I am one with and like God in all things. So if that resonates with you, maybe use that as the week goes by and you find your mind straying into all things being and doing and getting done and fixing. We'll have the affirmation in the comments today in our Facebook live stream, as well as in our e-announcements that come out on Tuesday. And now it's time to stand up and join together in our big virtual peace circle. Put out your arms and open your hands to your neighbors as we sing our peace song together and say our closing blessing. The words will be on the screen. Thank you, all of you, for joining us this afternoon. We love you so much. You are loved and welcome here at the fellowship, and we look forward to seeing you next Sunday.